Tuperos y Tuperas today on DOOP By The River. You want transfers is the Union's command. We got some transfer rumors to talk about here today. We're going to talk about the Florida woes. What the heck happened in the Sunshine State? We're going to talk about that. And, of course, we're going to preview this upcoming weekend's match against the Chicago Fire. We back at home, baby. And don't you dare go anywhere because you do not want to miss this episode of DOOP By The River. And let's get this started, guys. Dale! And that is right. Welcome, everyone, to DOOP By The River, the show where we follow everything Philadelphia Union, brought to you by Philly Sports Network. Today, we're running a little bit more smoothly. The MacBook is back, and I got my fellow Doopers here today hosting with me to talk about everything Philadelphia Union. To start it off, let's welcome, everyone, my man, Zach Lovasso. Zach, first off, what shirt are you wearing, my man?
This is, I think, when did I get this? 8th grade, so 8 years ago.
50 from 8th grade.
Showing the age. So this is day one.
This is like
oh, it's a long sleeve.
Yeah.
Oh God, I don't know if stuff will fit me from high school.
Yeah. It's not. I mean, it's still. I mean, I got it like super big back when, because. But yeah,
let's just say Zach's metabolism has been his friend.
It has been my friend.
Lucky SOP right there.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, he's the man of the many nicknames. Please welcome Justin, Jersey's most famous bald, Freiberg. Now, that's very controversial, but what's going on, Justin?
Hey, listen. I am not, if nothing, full of hot takes. And trust me, I will have, if not hot takes, at least some angry takes today, because the union been pissing me off lately. So there will be some angry words said.
And yet they still are the best team in Philadelphia. Anyways, and of course, last but not least, the positive soul that we need here on DOOP By The River. Please welcome my man, Mr. Tim Lovethgood. Timmy, what's going on, man?
Not much. Trying to be positive when the Union's here. It's a fun time. Yeah,
our chat would say otherwise right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, guys, we got a full jam-packed episode. We got a lot to talk about. Transfers, Florida, Chicago. Before we move forward, ladies and gentlemen, do not forget, ladies and gentlemen, we're on Philly Sports Network tonight. Make sure you guys do check on Philly Sports Network. Zach, Tim, and Steve have been doing some great articles on Philly Sports Network, so please make sure you stay up to date. You do not want to miss those articles. And of course, all the live portions as well go on El Parcero Philly's YouTube channel. The MacBook is back, so the vlog from DC United will be up at the end of this week. So make sure you like the live on both Philly Sports Network and on El Parcero Philly's YouTube channel, and subscribe to both. And of course, DOOP By The River can be found wherever you stream podcasts, from Apple, Google, Spotify, and of course on the great PSN radio network. All right, boys, let's get it started, right? So, you heard Justin's frustration. Listen, the play for the Union the past couple of weeks has not been up to par. Not to what we've been used to the past couple years, correct? But you guys have been clamoring for some transfers. We need to sign another DP. We need to go get Mario Balotelli. Come on. Well, we're not going to get that, guys. But, of course, Tom Bogart's dropped the Tom bombs. I'm loving these Tom bombs. They're better than Woj bombs, honestly. He dropped another one this week. The Union are close to signing, if not done already. Hasn't been made official by the team, but they're close to signing Matheus Davo on loan with an option to buy a young forward from Brazil coming from Corinthians. And they have also signed Jesus Bueno permanently. He is a young midfielder from Deportivo Lara in Venezuela. So right off the bat with Davo, guy fits what we need. He's kind of like that false nine holding guy. He can come in and kind of feed off of a guy like Kasper Shabilko or Corey Burke, wherever you want to put him there. And listen, Sky has been competing at the top flight of Brazilian soccer. I mean, they don't play no games down there, especially with those kids. He's been going back and forth with Guarini and Corinthians. And listen, just I think with the competition he's dealt with down there, coming here where in Philadelphia, listen, these these coaches work with the youth. So it's very exciting. And of course, Bueno, now, it's hard to get some info from Venezuela. I'm working on trying to get you guys some further info, some further insight on Jesus Bueno. But from my understanding, flexible wide receiver, flexible midfielder who can play all throughout the midfield. I'm talking Eagles training camp today, but he can play all throughout the midfield and fits kind of the Union narrative. Can you play different positions? If you can, you got a place on this squad. So we'll start with Timmy today. Tim, what are your thoughts on some of these rumors here, man? Have you seen anything from either one of these guys? Give it to me.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't gone down the whole watching highlights of these two guys. I know a lot of other people have, and kind of trying to break it down and where these guys will fit. Honestly, I think it's pretty simple. One of them is sort of like a 1 year option, with Davo being that loan option there. There will be an option for the club to buy him eventually if they want to. If he comes in and is able to, break his way in, score some goals either off the bench or from the start, maybe that's an option for them. 21-year-old striker, like you said, from Brazil, maybe he has that little bit of a spark that the Union front line needs. Yet to really see that. And then Bueno, another versatile midfielder, 22-year-old. I believe he was the captain of his club too.
Correct.
Which, another possible leader on this team, another young player to come into this midfield that's already pretty stacked. A permanent signing right off the bat, and we'll kind of see what happens. Maybe they're thinking kind of long term with this move. Is El Brujo going to stay, or maybe he'll transfer out? Where's Flock's best position? On the field, is it at the 6 or is it at the 8? Bueno can play both positions. So yeah, I haven't looked at too much of what they really look like on the field, but they sound like two Ernst Tanner signings, and now really scouting South America, which I know we've been kind of shouting for over the last few years, and it looks like Tanner's really creating that pipeline right now.
Yes, but we still need to go to Colombia. Ernst, let's go to Colombia. No, but Justin, what I want to throw to you, because Tim really made a really great point at the end there. Look, there's no secret. Ernst was one of the key pieces that found Roberto Firmino, who we all know what he turned out to be. And it seemed like that's where Ernst kind of wanted to go as far as another striker. He was going after Gabriel Silva from Palmeiras. What do you take from, Ernst going hard and heavy in Brazil with another forward?
That he knows what he wants. He knows the type of player he wants, and he's not afraid to go into markets that the Union really have not gone into. Like, if you look historically, South America has kind of been like more for defenders than midfielders. I mean, typically, whenever we get forward, it's like with Ernie, it was anyone who was Dutch. Like there were certain players like, okay, here's where we were looking for, and here's what we got. And yeah, don't get me wrong, could we have hit on a Fernando Ricigueta if he had stayed healthy? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was on fire that year, and it was a shame. And the players I love, and I still follow him now. He's playing in Liga MX. But you know what? The Union really, you talk about Roberto Firmino. Apparently, according to some talks, at least comparisons, and I know Zach kind of took a bit of a shine to this one. That Davo was compared to Gabriel Jesus, and I know he was not exactly. Him and Steve were very back and forth about that in our chat. But like, if you look at like the reason why Jesus was scouted by Man City, like he stretches the back line, he has that ability to take that back shoulder run and do something. And I think the Union don't have, outside of Sergio, they need another player that can really stretch the field. And yeah, this kid is young. Yeah, okay, he's on loan from Corinthians, but I mean, I saw a few of the at least some highlights to show me that this kid is going to scrap in the box. He's going to make those runs. He's got some speed. I mean, based on what I saw, no one's as fast as Sergio. That Sergio has.
I don't know. We'll see, man.
Speed. but I'd say it looks like it comes relatively close, which outside of like maybe Corey, you don't really have any other people that have speed up top. And I think when you have someone that's basically going to put their head down and just run and just, make life miserable for the defense, I think it opens up a lot of interesting things for Casper, for Gazdag. I think you talk about the potential for this, and listen, this kid's not going to be expected to blow the team open right away, but again, this is another low risk, very high reward signing. From what I can understand, at least with Dalvo, I know him, and even though his loan deal, and with Bueno, I believe at least one of them is going to be the under 22 money.
Yeah.
Based on what I'm seeing, which I'm surprised I didn't think the Union would use that, which is great because it allows them to get these kind of players, which helps, they help offset they can amortize the transfer fees and the salary. It doesn't meet a certain threshold, but again, it brings it to that point of this is what Ernst does. And Bueno is I feel like this is a looking to the future thing of, well, Brujo might be gone in the offseason. If I'm hearing this correctly, and he had a very good Copa America, I think teams started to look at him and go, wait, this guy plays in the US? Okay, let's. And the Union have had that like that with Brendan, with Mark. It's like these guys started to pop on the radar, and then especially the MLS's back tournament, and then teams started really scouting. And I think El Brujo's moment was Copa America. So having another kid that, if he can hop in right away, great. But again, you have Leon, like you have all these guys. He's not going to be forced to row right away into the starting 11. And I think that's what Ernst knows, and I think that's why he's bringing this kid in, because, I mean, also he's the captain of his team. So it's clear that he has the leadership experience at such a young age. And you know what? As I say, I trust in Ernst, and I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, this is the signing we need. But it's like, you know what? I trust that Ernst has the right idea in mind, because outside of what maybe Andrew Wooten,
sexy season, man.
I think that one was more us building him up than anything.
Yeah.
Than any kind of built up expectations. I think Ernst has a very good track record of knowing what works. Again, not a superstar, but players that work well in the system and can play well as a unit, and that's what Philly has thrived on. And I think that'll be something, especially for the stretch, and especially for, once you hit August, you have August 1st, you have the 4th, you have CCL on the 12th, you have 14th. Like, you are starting to really get into a very condensed August.
Right.
And July was not going to get any easier, but August is going to be tough. And I think these signings, again, rotating is going to be key. And I think that's something that these signings will allow, is way more rotation and keeping players fresh.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. One of the most important matches will be played in August as well. Now, Justin, you got Zach a little excited with that Brujo talk, but Zach, you want to add anything else to some of these new kids we might be getting?
So Davo, obviously not the kind of forward I was hoping the Union would sign. Considering they just shelled out a bunch of cash for Gazdag, and they're very similar players in what they do. But hopefully he comes in and he scores a bunch of goals. Now, I don't like the Firmino example, because why is Firmino so great? Because he's got Mane and Salah running off the outsides of him, scoring all the goals, and we don't have guys like that at the moment, scoring a bunch of goals.
Yeah, he was doing that at Hoffenheim too, man.
No, see, that's why he got his transfer, was because he was scoring goals at Hoffenheim. Then he got to Liverpool and he wasn't scoring goals anymore. But
I'll take it either way as a fan, not gonna lie.
Listen. I agree. He signed for Firmino tomorrow, and I'd be like, all right, yeah, cool. He's on the Union. I'm down. But no, I was hoping they signed a guy who like was a goal, like just a goal scorer. Like he just knew how to put the ball in the back of the net. He knew how to score a bunch of goals. But like I said, like hopefully he can come in, fill in for Sergio, come off the bench, wreak some havoc, like stuff like that. Like I'm cool with the forward signing, especially since he's loaned in. Like. If he performs, great. If he doesn't live up to what they wanted him to, he goes back to Brazil. Like it's no, like Justin said, like low risk, high reward potential for the signing. Bueno, on the other hand, I'm very excited for because from what I've seen, he looks like a creative midfielder who isn't afraid to pick out a big pass and not like the big passes that we've seen just going side to side. Like like split the center backs and allow forwards to run on the end of them. And also like. Bedoya, like he's gonna need a replacement at some point, and I don't see why this guy can't be it. Like I feel like he's gonna play the 8 more, and I think Flock will end up at that 6, especially if El Brujo leaves, because then you have Montero still, who should always play at the 8 and not the 10, because he's not good at the 10, and I don't know why Jim keeps putting him there. Like, does he know something? Is he like, it's gonna work? Eventually, it's gonna work. I don't think it is, Jim. I don't think it's going to work. Like, Gazdag's there to play the 10. Stop trying to mix things up and be creative. Like, play it the way it should be played.
Zach, I'm glad you said that because as soon as you said Montero needs to play, I'm like, please tell me there is another part to that.
Oh,
section.
yeah. The 8. That's it. That's it. Nowhere else. And Gazdag should not play the false 9 because then him and Jamiro start getting all mixed together, and it's not good for business. Because then all you have is slow Casper up top by himself. What's he going to do? What's he supposed to do up there by himself? Hold everyone off and then slowly run past them? I don't think so. Like, it's been frustrating. So hopefully these signings, anyway, back to the signings. Hopefully they can come in and bring some creativity into a very bland midfield and front line at the moment.
So when I look at these signings, I do feel like they're more depth pieces, if I'm being honest with you guys, more for the rotation, and Zach kind of nailed it on the head. You know, we do have to start thinking of the future as much as it pains, and I don't want to talk about a life after Alejandro Bedoya, but, you know, these are things that you actually do have to start talking about. So it feels like these signings are more some depth pieces. You guys nailed it on the head as well. Listen, Global America, when we have to go down there, that's going to be a super important match, and it's important that you have guys that are fit and ready to play, and you put out your best starting 11 to play against a tough America team because they ain't going to be rolling over for us. That's for sure.
Are these new signings allowed to play in CCL, or because they weren't on the original?
I don't know if there's any roster restrictions.
Because I know in Champions League, like if you sign in January, you can't play. Except there might be like a little window where like you can add them, but it's so close to the game.
Well, I think, but it's within the window that they're. So, like, I don't know if there's the same similar restriction.
Yeah,
I would think. I mean, honestly, if the Union are really intent on signing these players right now, like if these signings come through within the next few days of being official, the thought process obviously is for MLS, but why wouldn't you try to use them for CCL as well? Like that, you would need this type of depth down there, especially.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I completely agree with you guys. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure right now we're just trying to go through the visa situation. As we all know, that does take a little bit, even though, you know, the borders have kind of opened up. But we'll keep you guys posted. Of course, Tim and Zach will get you guys that news article once that is made official by the Philadelphia Union. So make sure you do pay attention to Philly Sports Network and the Twitters. All right, guys. You kind of alluded to it, but we got some action to talk about on the pitch, and I don't know if you really want to call it action, but it was an interesting week. So we took a trip down to Florida, took some Florida woes. This is what we're going to call this portion of the segment of this podcast, the Florida woes. So obviously last week we had 2 matches in 1 week. We had to go to Orlando on Thursday, and then on Sunday we had to go to Fort Lauderdale to face off against Inter Miami. Reason why we kind of wanted to tie both these matches together is honestly they both look pretty similar. Similar issues, matches that I felt like we should have won both of them, if I'm being honest with you guys. But I mean, Orlando, watching that game, it was so frustrating. In the beginning of the match, I felt like the Union, they started off really well, and I was like, okay, I like this. Explorer Stadium is not an easy place to play in either. Shouts to Orlando. Second half, Orlando jumps up to a 2-0 lead, and I'm just like, what the heck just happened? And then shouts to Kasper Shabilko to get one late, and then Jack Ellie had a moment. He looked like Harry Kane in the box, and it was a crazy sequence. The Union had opportunities to get a point here, but unfortunately, we could not get a single point, as we would lose 2-1 down in Orlando. And the worst part about it, boys, was on Sunday, Orlando got spanked by NYCFC 5-0. So I'm looking at myself like, what the heck? And on top of that, we have to play Inter Miami on Sunday, right? It's Wednesday. Inter Miami had to play. They had to play 2 matches in 1 week as well. They're playing against New England. You got Paul Pogba in attendance. You got Lionel Messi in attendance, and they get absolutely shellacked by New England. So I'm thinking, at the minimum, we're putting up 3 goals and we're winning this match against Inter Miami. I'm sitting back. I'm with shouts to Paul Catrino and Justin Fisher. We were watching at Swedesboro Brewery. Justin, you need to try the Three Sisters Ale. You would absolutely love it. But anyways, I'm sitting back. I'm drinking my beer, and I'm like, we're going to win this game. And Inter Miami came to freaking play, and I didn't know what to think of it. They were moving the ball fluid, and they kept Matt Freese busy. They got the lead in the second half, and I'm like, not again. Not to Inter. It's one thing against Orlando, not to Inter Miami. Luckily, Kasper Shabilko again came up big with some great work from Daniel Gazdak and Quinn Sullivan, but the Florida Woes gave us 1 single point. And listen, when we're looking at this Union team over the past couple matches, I mean, it hasn't been the Union team that we kind of been accustomed to. So, man, we'll start with Zach this time here, man. But what did you take away from the Florida Woes?
So the Orlando game, I predicted they would lose 2-1, and I thought that they would play well. And as poorly as they played for the majority of the match, the first 10-15 was good, and then the last 20 was also good. And I enjoyed what I saw in spurts, like I said, but I don't know. It's kind of tough when the back line, as great as they've been, maybe they aren't that great, and it's just Andre Blake who's saving them, because they look, with Matt Freese in net, totally uninspired. I don't know if they are not confident because Matt Freese is in there, but you would think that a back line who has conceded as few goals as they have throughout the entire season up until recently would be we're not going to let this kid get scored on, because he's pretty much the future of the team, especially if Andre gets sold at some point, which is a definite possibility, because some teams are going to come knocking for him. He's that good a keeper. His saves in the Gold Cup were fantastic at times, as they are in the MLS. So the back line really has been bothering me the past 3 games. They've just been putting Matt Freese in horrible spots, really bad. And then, Kasper's goal, by the way, as much shtick as I give him against Orlando, was fantastic. Such a good finish. So difficult to do on the first time, especially from the distance that he did it from. So claps to Kasper. But then we'll go to Miami, where I have a bone to pick with Kasper, because I thought he was horrible the entire night. I thought he was the worst player on the field. Giving the ball away, checking in, and just ball bouncing off of him. And even the goal he scored, so unconvincing. Spurted over the line. He's always been he doesn't convince me ever that he's an elite forward in the MLS, because he scores goals and then 8 games in a row he just won't score a goal. And I'm all right, it's time to get rid, and then he'll score 2 the next game. And I'm this happens every time. But
proof that Kasper listens to the podcast.
But the main issue, actually, there's a couple issues. One of them is Jim Curtin at the moment. I don't know what tactically he seems to be doing, but it's not it kind of reminds me of when Pep Guardiola gets late stage Champions League games and he just overthinks them and tries to do fancy stuff and it never works. That's what Jim's doing now, because he played 3 people in positions they should not be playing. Leon was playing the 8, and Leon's fine at the 8. He's fine, but he's much better at the 6. Montero's playing the 10, and he's bad at the he's not good when he plays there, and he should be the 8. And Gazdag was playing up top, where he never really was because everyone else was so poor in the midfield that he had to take it upon himself to drop in and try and create from deeper. So why not play him at the 10 so you still have 2 forwards up top and Casper's not up there on his lonesome trying to do things that he's not capable of doing. The Miami game was bad to watch up until Jim made some very late substitutions, which in my opinion should have happened. Like when Sergio got subbed in, they all should have gotten subbed in because it was so bad up until that point that one guy wasn't going to change things. Now Sergio looked good. He made things happen. He just makes the back line uncomfortable because they can't sit so high anymore. Like when Casper's up there, like they can just move on up because even if Casper gets in behind, like there's going to be someone back there who's going to catch him. But when Sergio comes in, he's going to put on the burners and beat you over the top or through or whatever.
Speed
speed is the most important asset in this game that we love, right? It's the most important asset. But going on to the other subs, Ilsinho, first game.
Ilsinho
came in at I was so happy to see that man get on the field. Came in at right back. Because and I didn't know this, but apparently he used to be a right back when he played for Brazil. So that's
Zach, how about those boots?
Pretty interesting. Oh, dude, he could do anything, and I would love him. He could do anything. He could wear anything. Like I would just love that man. But he comes on and he starts doing what Ilsinho does. Like even if he's not like getting in the box and breaking, he makes defenders second guess themselves, which then leaves space for guys like Quinn to come in and do the madness that he did. By the way, has never had a bad performance that I can think of when playing for the Union. Him and Gazdag combining on that goal was fantastic. Gazdag with a cheeky little back heel. Quinn plays a great ball to Casper. Casper, mishits the ball into the net, which great. We scored. We tied the worst team in the MLS. But like, I put this in my article. Like at this point, regular season wise, like I couldn't care less about results. Like focus on Champions League. And let these kids play because at this point, I don't see this team doing anything in the playoffs. Like they'll make first round, maybe win one round, and then get knocked out. Like I can't imagine them getting any further than that, which sucks to say. But like you gotta keep it real. Like they look really bad right now, and Jim's got to figure some stuff out. Like the diamond is it could work, but you got to play it the way it needs to be played. And yeah, there's just a lot of questions to be asked at this moment in time as a Union fan.
God damn, Zach, you're killing me here, man.
I'm so sorry.
It's all good, brother. Justin, what do you got from Florida?
That no one should go to Florida.
I don't plan on it.
That much is clear because it is hot as the kids would say, hot as balls.
There's fishes dying everywhere, Justin.
And our pets' heads keep falling off. Listen, I'll fully admit I was out for a lot of the Orlando game, so I only caught bits and pieces.
Okay.
But I did watch the Miami game, and the one thing I can say is, either Jamiro or Ali need a goddamn break. And this is going to set me on. And I said there were going to be rants. This is going to set me on a rant. Attention, Jim Curtin. Why the fuck did you not rotate your roster in Florida? You had 2 games in 4 days in the middle of the summer. And oh yeah, fucking Florida. What the fuck did you think was going to happen when you lost to Orlando and thought, oh yeah, you were the same roster against Miami when Miami should have been a goddamn cakewalk? And that's what frustrates me is this midfield. Like it feels disjointed. It feels like there's not a lot of creativity.
I agree.
And Zach talked about it. I don't like Jamiro at the 10. I hate it. I hate it. He's not a 10. Jim, stop trying to make this happen. Like, please stop. It just does not work. He doesn't have the same type of range that he does from the 8. I love him as an 8. He's a great shuttler. just does not work. So either he needs to come off, or maybe Ali needs to come off. Someone needs to come off, and you can kind of rotate out, bring the kids in. It's clear, as if Zach's right. Quinn has not had a bad performance that I've seen. When he got the start in Chicago, he looked amazing. I thought he was one of the few players with bright spots on the field in that draw. It just frustrates me because the back line has looked a little suspect. I don't know what's going on. I think you need to get Finlay in there. I really do think you're gonna have to start using him more often. Again, in the midfield, I really do think there needs to be some kind of rotation.
This is for Zach right here.
Well, they played Austin. Let's
Yeah.
throw our
Wait
roll.
a second. They played a 15-year-old. A 15-year-old and
Yeah,
a
but they played
16-year-old.
But they played Austin.
But
And-
hold on. This is why you need a striker who can score lots of goals. And I tweeted this because Rui Diaz comes in and he scores from the midway line and they win 1-0. We don't have anyone who's gonna do that. I don't see anyone. Yeah, we played Miami. We had our full-fledged star lineup out there.
Well,
And they sub on Rui Diaz, and he has a moment of brilliance. He's got 10 goals already this season in 13 games.
he cost around, what was it, $2
Sounds
million?
like Rudy Diaz.
I think it was the shit that the same price tag that the Union are have been shopping in lately.
Exactly.
So what you're saying is we just start packs. I'm just kidding.
What I'm saying is we need to buy someone who scores goals. That's it.
But I think hey, Davo does score goals. You didn't say how many goals. He scores goals.
He scored 3 goals and had 5 assists in 13 games. Which all right, that's good. That's
not bad.
a good return. Good
I'll take
return.
it.
But I'd rather have the guy I talked about who scored 25 goals and had 5 assists in 24 games, who's 1.4 million. That would be awesome.
I think the thing with this team is I think you gotta inject some life into this offense. And if Davo and Bueno are made official, I don't know they wouldn't be ready for Chicago. There's no way.
No way.
Maybe midweek. Who's coming?
CFC.
We play Toronto midweek next Wednesday.
So Toronto midweek could be a maybe, depending on.
I think
if
that's a
here.
stretch. If these players get signed, I would think you would want them if they come
Full
in,
week of practice.
a full week of practice, and then you go to New England before Club America.
Oh, dude, start him. Start him against New England.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Zach's here for chaos, and I'm.
I am so.
I
here
am.
for
I
chaos.
am all about it. But listen, whatever you need to do to inject some life into this offense, do it, because Gazdag, if you have Gazdag and Casper up top, you have 2 players that like to both drop deep, and as we saw in Miami, then there's no one in the box. Straight up, there's no one in the box.
There was a moment where they crossed the ball and no one was in there.
Oh,
No one was there.
Oh yeah, no. I think was it when Kai got the ball, and I think they both dropped deep, and
There was no one in the box.
He literally makes the defender slide past him. He runs up, and Casper and Gazdag are both at least 5 yards outside the box, and Kai just sit there going where is someone? And that's what's frustrating. Is like I said, I love Gazdag on the field, and you saw against DC, there were moments why he is the attacking mid that you signed. He can get that creativity, but you gotta you can't play Sergio full 90 minutes. Really, he's good for 65, maybe 70.
Yeah.
But with Corey out, you needed rotation. You needed something. You could have started Quinn up top and had him. I mean, there was mixed success with that in the preseason. Do something. Do something because you're playing at home. You're playing Chicago, who, listen, the game in Chicago, the field was crap. It was soggy. It was just a all around not a great performance. You have a chance. You got to start changing something before Club America, because it's not bad performances, but it is teetering on. It's just mediocre at this point,
Right?
And that's the concerning thing. I don't care. You lose, you lose in Orlando. You know what? Going to Orlando has always been a kind of a tough thing. That's the way it's been. I'm not sure I expected differently. I think I was overconfident in that game, but you don't rotate. You go down to Miami, and you draw. I'm sorry, that should not happen. That was mediocre,
Right.
and that's what concerns me.
If I may, for 2 seconds, Reese, listen, I get it, but the problem isn't Gazdak. It's like a whole chemistry issue that this team has going on. I know he's got 1 assist through 7 matches, but when you got guys that aren't fitting together, that's kind of what's going on here.
And when he's playing out of position for most of those games, he's not getting that rhythm, like you're saying.
Right. Now, Tim, I'm begging you, give me some sort of ounce of positivity here, man.
I mean, like, the only positive thing I have to say is that the Union had a full week off to practice and to get this right.
Work on things.
Like, just like, I don't know if you guys have noticed their Twitter feed, but it's been quiet. Like, they like tweet like once or twice a day right now. Like, they put out a tweet today about training, and you saw Andre and Corey back in training.
Reggae boys are back.
Like, okay, they're back from the Gold Cup. Like, this team needs to figure it out. And I don't know how much more positive I can be on that right now than that. I've kind of reflected on what you guys are saying too, and just the odd kind of changes but not changes are the thing that are frustrating me right now. Like you guys are saying, Jim's wanting to muddle up the midfield when you have 4 players that you can play there in their natural positions. Whether or not you rotate and bring in some homegrowns against Miami or not, if you played the 4 starting midfielders in their positions against Miami, you still probably win. Like that's probably still happening, even with a Bedoya who doesn't look like he's on 2 legs right now, or a Montero that was a little bit out of it. Like that, if you play those players in that position, they probably win. I think where they need to rotate more and where Jim needs to really get comfortable with doing it is on the back line right now. Justin mentioned it. Stuart Finlay is there. You brought him in as the quote-unquote Mark McKenzie replacement, even though he's not the same player. He's similar to – that's what everyone was saying when he was signed. He's similar to a McKenzie type. Right now, you got Elliott and Glassness. Maybe you take one of them out. I don't really know. The outside backs haven't looked great either, but do you trust a homegrown Nathan Harriel to come in, or do you trust Matt Real to play left back over Kai Wagner? Those are the harder questions that Jim Curtin has to figure out, but he's got this week to figure it out. And I'm just going to say this is the background on my phone screen right now. I don't know if you guys can see this on there, but that is Sergio, Casper, and Gazdag celebrating the goal they scored against DC United. That's the front 3. Those need to be the front 3.
Yeah.
Like it needs to be, whether you play in a 4-4-2 diamond, or if you're playing somehow with the 3 of them up top, you got to figure it out. That's the front 3 for the Union moving forward.
So that's
we can move on. We can move on to Chicago. Like
that's your Monty Firmino and Salah.
One thing. If they're not gonna play Flock, like if Jim prefers El Brujo to Flock, which it seems like he does at the 6 at least at right now, I wouldn't mind, because the outside backs have been so bad. Let me see Flock at left back. Not gonna let me see Flock at left back.
Play it.
Honestly, Brujo can play right back. I don't know if you would want Brujo to play right back.
I would not want. I wouldn't,
no,
because he did. You see the one cross he tried to make the other night? Like he had all the space where he's like, "Here, keeper, you can have this." We don't want to score. But you know what I'm waiting for the most is a homegrown, like a striker, like a homegrown number 9.
Isn't there like a 15-year-old kid?
I hope so. I hope so.
He was killing it. I'm trying to remember his name.
He's a twin. Him and his brother.
Zambrano, right?
Maybe.
Were they Honduran or else?
I think they were Venezuelan, but
I hope so. I just want one. Like we've had so many homegrowns and none of them have been strikers.
Okay, let me ask you something. So we can kind of transfer over and talk about Chicago, to preview that a little bit. I mean, there's not much really we could talk about Florida really, but because you guys have been talking about the back line and how it kind of has been off, and a lot of talk about Finlay. When I look at this team, I feel like something has to change. And when we're talking about Chicago, I actually was listening to Raphael Wickie's presser before the Philly match. I think they had it today or yesterday. But, he even said it himself. Like, we all know how Philadelphia plays. You kind of have to prepare for it. And that's cool. I always love that mentality. Like, keep running the same thing until they prove that they can stop it. But some teams are kind of figuring it out. So here's my thinking. Changing the formation up a little bit. How would you guys feel about a 3-back set?
I mean, I wouldn't hate it. We kind of saw it late on against Miami. I mean, granted, Elsinho was your right back, like Zach pointed out. But, they have 3 center backs that are all serviceable in MLS. The main issue is you don't really have any depth, on the bench for center back unless you're going to throw in Colin, But I wouldn't hate it. It's just then who from the midfield do you take out? Because you're going to have to take out a midfielder to get that formation to work.
Dude, yeah, give me Elsinho at a right wing back spot. Dude, that would be a 5 at the back, Elsinho right wing back, Flock left wing back. Come on. Tell me, because then you don't even have to take out a midfielder. Then you're just...
Then you legitimately have 3 defenders and however many midfielders.
Yeah, but then you just play like Brujo and then like Montero, and then like above them is like Gazdag, and then you have Sergio and Casper. I think that would be awesome. Because everyone's running 5 at the back. Like Chelsea won freaking Champions League running 5 at the back. It would be awesome. Like that would be just like because what lineup Jim's going to run out against in CCL, right? Like it's going to be the same guys wherever he decides to play them. It's going to be that lineup. So why not get creative against a bad Chicago team? Like why not? Like do something different. Like we've seen the Diamond every single week, and like as great as it's been, it hasn't been great like in recent history, like the past 8 games. Do something different. Like show that you are a manager in demand and like get your team out of this funk, or else like Jim, if they keep going down the table like this, Jim, he won't get fired. But like if it were any other situation, like the manager would be in the hot seat.
Yeah.
Like but since Jim's been here so long and he just signed the new deal, like they're not going to fire him. But like he should feel the pressure right now because it's just so frustrating.
I hear you, and that's kind of my point. I mean, I remember 2019. We kind of started doing that 4-4-2 diamond, but there were matches where we would implement the 4-2-3-1, and obviously in the Ernie days, that's what Jim kind of ran every match. Essentially, was a 4-2-3-1. And I do think that there is a benefit to tactic for flexibility. There's guys that fit in different areas, so I would like to see some tactical flexibility. I know how Jim is, and I know he likes to run the same tactics with the same personnel. But listen, America's got a bunch of tape on us, and it's all pretty much the same stuff. And we all our eyes are on America. Playoffs are a while away. Right now, we have an opportunity to win a major trophy here. So, right now, these next couple games, the way I look at it, this is like preseason for
absolutely
for what is to be essentially your NFC championship game, whatever you want to call it. But this is a really big match, and I think you got to start preparing for it. But when we're talking about Chicago, guys, I feel like this is a match where the Union honestly should win. Chicago's going to give you those opportunities to kind of take advantage of. And when I watched the last 2 matches, obviously Justin was there front and center. There were opportunities the Union could have just, taken the match away, taken them full momentum, and they just kind of couldn't. Tim, what for you? What is kind of like the key here against Chicago at home?
It's the same that it's been for the last eight games since they came back from the international break. It's just stopping the mental lapses in those crucial moments. That's how Chicago was able to draw the Union in Chicago. And we've talked a lot about roster rotation and whatnot and formations and things like that. Honestly, that kind of goes out the window if you can just stop the opposition from hitting a routine free kick and heading it home, or getting a corner, whipping it in and winning the second ball, things like that. If you can just do that, you can stay in games. I mean, obviously the Union want to push for all 3 points at home against the Chicago team. So they should come out and try to dominate this game. I know they don't usually like to keep possession. Usually in the last few games, it's kind of been 50-50 split or less for the Union. in possession. So, if they want to do that, try to hit Chicago on the counterattack. It's my positive side says that the Union can do it and that they're going to make a few changes in the lineup. I don't know if that's going to look like a formation change. For the record, if the formation change did happen, I think the Union would show up in a 4-2-3-1 because that was comfortable for them for a long time. They would play Santos out wide and they'd figure out who else to play on the right. Maybe Elsinho would come in for a spot start and play 60 minutes, like something crazy like that, just to switch it up for, a game. Something different. But yeah, it's, right now it's not great, and it's hard to really be positive about this team, even going into a home game against a lesser Eastern Conference opponent that Chicago is right now. Their form isn't great either, again, so it's going to be rough. And this is honestly the midway point of the season for the Union. This is their 17th game coming up against Chicago, which is the literal midpoint. They would, literally halfway through. Right now, the Union, they're still hanging up at the top of the Eastern Conference. Teams are catching them. Yeah, fourth place. We'll see. A win for a lot of teams can, make things more interesting and more congested. So if the Union can keep, getting wins at home, which they should do, especially against these lesser teams in the East right now, that's just what they really need to do to keep me optimistic, to be honest.
That shouts to Tim, always bringing the positive here. We definitely need it. Justin, I wanted to ask you, man, if any, does Chicago have any threat to us, even Beric?
I'm just going to say flat out, say no. Like, Chicago, again, it's on the road. I get it. Different, different animal. Again, the field conditions, as I was there, the field conditions were bad. That ball was not moving around very much.
Good enough for Quinn.
Hey, man,
the ball wasn't on the ground for Quinn's.
Oh yeah, that thing was right in front of me. Dude, I still think about that and just like, holy crap, that was amazing. Outside of Beric, I really no one scares me on Chicago. And I know we've talked about this team not playing to their best, but I always say at home, the Union are a different team. Unfortunately, it feels like they're drifting back into that, that where they're good at home and kind of so on the road, even though they haven't lost as much on the road. Two of their losses, two of their losses have been at home. So 2 losses on the road is not the worst thing. You have a lot of draws.
Yeah.
But, so their road form is not amazing, but only 2 losses is not the worst thing in the world. But Union at home, I'm not overly confident, but if any were the team to, especially in the next 2 games, if you wanted 2 teams to really kind of start righting the ship, I'd say Chicago and then Toronto, even with that decent form as Toronto's been lately. Those are 2 teams where I'd like to get a crack at both of them.
Yeah.
To really turn things around.
You're 100% right here, man. Zach, how are you feeling about Chicago?
As down as I've been on the team, I think they're going to win. They are at home. I think we are going to see some changes. If we're going to change anyone in the back line, I think it should be Glesnes, because he has just he's really good at scoring really far out goals. But when it comes to passing out of the back or passing back to our goalkeepers, hasn't been a good season for him. There was just one pass that he tried to make. I think it was against Orlando, where he tried to play an outside the foot pass through 3 forwards of Orlando, and it went right to the foot of one of them. And I was like, "What on earth are you doing? You are a center back. You're not supposed to do nonsense like this." So if you're gonna take out one of the center backs, it would be Glesnes. And I think that they just need to try things. This is a game against a poor Chicago team that they need to experiment. And same with Toronto. I know we're not there yet, but the next 2 games, like you guys said, like it's like preseason for CCL. Like they need to figure some stuff out and figure out who can perform when this team isn't performing, so we can get some good bodies into that lineup against Club America, because they're going to be very good. They're going to be very good.
So we hear.
So, yeah, I mean, and they have some of the best jerseys I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my god!
As much as I hate them, like I know I can't, but like I really want to buy one of their kits, and I know I'm not allowed to do that, but I really want to.
Here's what I'll say. So it's been clear, even through this like drought that we've kind of been on with the Union, the resiliency is still kind of there. The one constant that we talked about in the Florida woes was the fact that those guys showed up in the final minutes of both of those matches. So the key for me is just playing a full 90 minutes. Play that dominant Union soccer that we know and we love for 90 minutes. And this is a club that, listen, it's easy to put this team down now. It just starts in the first half. You impose your will. What happened to that physical play that kind of was big for us last year? Get back to a little bit of that, especially with a team like this. We're talking about Club America. These are matches that you're starting to prepare for that huge match here. So I really want to see that. I know the Union are predictable, but for me, it's about the willpower, and I feel like that's what's going to be the difference against Chicago this upcoming weekend. Gentlemen, so what do we see as the lineup? Obviously, Andre is coming back.
Yes.
Back line still the same. Wagner, Elliott, Glesnes, and Bizo. Any?
I'm gonna say no.
Ooh, Justin, what you got?
I agree with Zach. I mean, I definitely think Kai stays in. I think Kai actually looked pretty good against Miami. I think Jack stays in, and I think Glesnes comes out for Finlay. I mean, from what little I did see against Orlando, I saw the play that Zach's referring to. He tried to do this out to the foot thing, and I'm like, Jack is the better distributor, and I looked at it and I'm like, it went right to the defender and attacker. I'm like, what was that? Like, what are you doing? And like, I think he just needs a game on the bench just to kind of like say like, hey, like, not that he probably get the start then against Toronto, but it's like, hey, just let's give you a break, kind of, and then Bizo, I think Bizo's never really been much of an issue. If with Powell back, maybe you rotate. I don't think so. I don't think the rotation's there. But the back line, I think, changes a little bit.
That's a good point. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Finlay, especially. Listen, Glez has been giving us some amazing goals, but man, we need that defense back from him. That midfield, I'm assuming, is still going to be that diamond. I know, I know Zach wants to see certain things, but I'm assuming Leon at the left, Brujo at the 8. Ali at the right, and I'm assuming Jamiro. I'm not Jamiro. Gazdak at that 10 role.
I think that they might start Quinn instead of Ali.
Yeah, I think they're at least Quinn or Jamiro gets rotated out. I think with that, and I think Quinn is in.
Yeah, I mean, Quinn Sullivan really deserves the start, but I think if it's Jim Curtin and he wants to keep Brujo on the field, then I think it'll be Flock and Jamiro as the shuttlers and Gazdag at the 10 if Bedoya needs a rest. But yeah, that's the whole thing right now is the midfield rotation and really getting that right. And do you add a fresh player like Quinn Sullivan in this game? You probably can because it's the Chicago match. Or do you just rest your captain and keep Jamiro and Leon in there who have been kind of your Warriors running the most in matches. So yeah, it's another decision that Jim has to figure out there for the midfield.
Yeah.
Big question marks. It'll be interesting to see. I'm assuming he's going to shake something up because it definitely needs to be done. Up top, I do believe Corey will start because he's coming back from Jamaica, the Jamaican team. I see him starting up top with Kasper Shabilko.
Yeah, I agree. I think Sergio's just so much better suited off the bench when people get tired. Like, especially with Corey, because Corey does give you a little bit more pace than, like Gazdag having to drop all the way in deep. And you still have Gazdag like at that 10 if he wants to make a run in behind. Like he's not the slowest either. So I mean, you have decent pace with them, and then you just bring Sergio on up top, and he just does what Sergio does.
And you know what I'll say? I better see those beautiful banging goals Corey was doing with Jamaica. I better see that here,
dude. I'd be so. Listen, I said at the beginning of the season, like if anyone's gonna be like our goal scorer, it's gonna be Corey Burke, and I just want to see him like bag like 6 in the next 10 games. Like just show me something that we have a guy who can do that, because like Casper's got what now, 6 goals on the season.
Yeah,
he's got 6. Corey's still at 4, and he hasn't played in 3 weeks. And Sergio has I think like 3 or something like that. But yeah, I'm excited to have Corey back. Like as much shtick as we give him for like just scoring the garbage goals. Like garbage goals are the best kind of goals, because it means you did the work to get to the right spot to score a goal that no one else was going to put in the back.
Wait, hold on, Zach. I do gotta take just a little umbrage that you are praising Corey for doing almost identically what Casper has been doing this entire dang season.
No, listen, because when Corey puts the ball in the back of the net, it hits the back of the net. Yeah, that's the difference.
What's the difference? Casper scored a lot of ugly goals this season.
No, but the problem is what's ugly about Corey's goals are the work that he does and like just the ball bouncing around the box. The ugly goals that Casper scores are him not actually like thinking he's gonna score. He's like looking away and the ball hits off his knee and it goes in the net. Like it's not. Like, I want someone who's going to grind, and that's Corey Burke. Corey Burke is a grinder. Casper is not a grinder.
Okay.
I'm still waiting for Casper to score a goal off his butt, man. He's done every part, but not the butt.
That's against Club America. Give me Azteca.
Kiss my ass.
Hopefully, man. Hopefully.
I can't wait. All right, guys. Tim, give me a prediction for Sunday.
The Union have to win this game. Well, I've been saying that.
If they don't.
They have to. They literally have to. It's the halfway point of the season. I'm the narrative guy here. Like, at the halfway point, you need to win this game and get back in. Look like a top 4 contending team. I've been saying for the last few weeks that if the Union continue getting draws at home or losing these types of games, that they're more so contending for the playoffs rather than a top 4 in a home playoff game. I still think they're good enough for that top 4 spot. So they need a win here. I think they get it 2-0. I really don't think Chicago is much of a threat, but I don't think the Union are going to go out and score boatloads of goals. I hope they prove me wrong, and they do that. But yeah,
goal by Gazdag?
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it because then if I don't say it, then it's going to happen. So reverse psychology.
There you go. Justin, what you got?
You know what? I'm thinking the same scoreline as Tim. I think it's 2-0. I would say 3-1, but Chicago's not very good.
Right.
And the Union haven't been playing great, but like the Union, I think with the set piece defending against the last time against Chicago, I don't think that's necessarily going to be an issue. And I know Jim will probably emphasize that again and say, hey, the last time we played them, we were terrible at the marking on that. So I think they'll pick that up. I think up top, I think it's going to be Casper and Corey. I think Corey coming back with a lot of confidence. He looked very good in the Gold Cup, and I remember telling my dad before the U.S. played Jamaica, before the game, he said, who would you rather play, Costa Rica or Jamaica? I said, Costa Rica.
Yeah. Like
Costa Rica has not been playing well, and Jamaica was just on fire. They were playing really well, and they gave the U.S. a lot of tough, choices. And Corey was at a lot of it. He was throwing players around. He was making that defense work extra hard to cover him. And honestly, I loved it. I thought he played with really inspired, and I think he's going to bring that confidence. I think he bags the first goal. I've been saying this for a while. I think Gazdag finally gets his goal. That's going to be my every game. Gazdag's going to get that goal until he finally gets it, and then I'm just going to go, well, Paxton's gonna get in the game and he's gonna score his
There you
first
go.
goal. Like I'm just gonna kind of start rotating random Union players to, like, get their first goal. Like Ray Gaddis is gonna unretire and he's gonna try to score his
Oh
first
yeah,
goal.
he is.
Like that'll be like the mic drop moment, and that'll be when I walk away. But no, 2-0 Union. And I think it ain't gonna be pretty, but pretty, pretty doesn't matter as long as the result's a W.
This is Philadelphia. Nothing ever comes pretty here, man. All right, Zach, give me that prediction, man.
I also think it's going to be 2-0 Union.
I
think Corey actually scores twice.
Okay.
And I think that even though Matt Freese deserved a clean sheet, they didn't give it to him, and they're going to give it to well, actually, I lied. Andre's going to give it to the back line. That's how that's going to work. But, yeah, I can't see Chicago doing much. Now, watch them come in and put 3 on us, and we'll all look like fools.
Oh, my God.
But dude, the podcast that we will do if Union lose to Chicago is going to be.
Listen, I will say this about Chicago: they have not won an away game since decision day.
Don't say this. Don't say it, Tim.
They haven't done it. I haven't.
I couldn't handle that, man. Luckily, I won't be there, but I could not handle that. Oh my God. All right. Well, on a positive note, before we head out of here, tomorrow is a big day for you guys. Gold Cup semifinal, USA, Qatar, and then you got Mexico and Canada. Is there any possible way that the finals of Gold Cup will not be USA and Mexico again?
Absolutely. Qatar looks very good.
Yeah, Qatar's a very good team. It's really going to come down to if this U.S. makeshift team, the B team, essentially can stop what Qatar likes to do and hit in transition. That's just what they've done all
They are
time.
fast, man.
If they win Gold Cup, I will be freaking pissed off.
There's no way they beat. There's no way they beat Mexico. Mexico. This is the team that the U.S. beat in the Nations League final for Mexico, and
how?
They just brought their best team. Like they were just like, we're going to win the Gold Cup.
They have a few players missing. Mexico does. They're out over in Tokyo for the Olympics.
But like
it's not a
Lozano's there, and you got like Hector Herrera. Like you got
the training camp with Napoli.
He said he wants to play with Mexico for the Gold Cup. So I think if they had won Nations League, they wouldn't have brought this team to the Gold Cup. But they were like, nah, we're gonna win.
We got bitched around.
To be honest, Mexico is playing for Tata Martino to stay. It seems like, but because if Mexico lose, if Mexico lose the Gold Cup, he's out.
Wait. Cue Atlanta fans saying
he's going back.
We want Tata back, whatever it is. I think the U.S. I'm not worried. I mean, Qatar are the AFCON champs.
Yeah, the Asian champs.
Dude, they were so annoying in Copa America. 2 years ago.
What? Like it. I think the U.S. has played well. I think at least 2 of the front 3 has got to be Matthew Hoppe and Daryl DK.
Yeah.
With Matthew Hoppe, my God, he has had a tournament.
Fantastic.
Just some of the touches. I mean, my man has been saucing all over the place with some of these. He'll bring the ball down and turn, and it looks so effortless. Like it's just like, what on earth just happened? And I mean, Daryl DK, I'm saying it. I think he's your number 9 going forward.
Oh, dude, no, he's not. He's not. He's not yet. He's
like
not.
Giatti Zardes did literally nothing.
Zardes.
Nothing.
It's Sargent.
It's still Josh Sargent because listen. This is why it's still Josh Sargent. This is why it's still Josh Sargent because Daryl DK scored 2 goals against Martinique, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is the dude." Josh Sargent has like 5 goals in 3 preseason games for Werder Bremen, and no one's talking. It's the same level too. It's the same level of competition as Martinique, though. Like it's not like Bundesliga 2's any worse than the players who were playing in the professional league in Martinique. Like I don't understand this. Like, oh, Daryl D. Like he's great. He is going to be so good off the bench for that team, but he is not a starter because he will ruin so many attacking moves that team wants to play with because of how creative Gio Reyna and Christian Pulisic are. When you try to play 1-2s with Daryl DK, he's gonna ruin it. Like he's gonna ruin it.
The reason I say I completely disagree, and that we're getting a bit off track. The reason I completely disagree is Josh Sargent has literally no hold-up play, and with this kind of an offense, you need someone who can hold the ball up. And yes, Daryl DK's raw, but I think he has better hold-up play.
Oh, I don't know, man. But I don't think Josh Sargent's the answer either. Like I'm
no,
not. Don't
no.
get me wrong. Like I think right now Sargent's still your number 9, but I don't think that he is the long-term answer for the problem that is the U.S. men's national team's number 9. Like you need, like even Pifo or Sabichu, if people don't know,
Pifok,
yeah. I didn't know if the K was silent or whatever, but he impressed me a lot when he came in, and he's been playing well for young boys. He has 3 goals in their first 2 games or something like that. He scored a tying goal in like the last couple minutes, and then also the game winner. And then he scored a penalty kick for them yesterday, I believe. So like I would try him out. You still got Timothy Weah, who could be a number 9. I think he's more of a winger. And then and Hoppy, I think, is now a winger too. Like, I don't think he's a number 9, but we'll see, man. You just got to wait for that. I mean, they have a year. Maybe some new kid comes up that we've never heard of before. But for now, I still think it's Josh Sargent.
Either way, they got to show against Qatar tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Like they got to show that whoever is playing, whether it's DK or Zardes right now up top, and they need to be paired with Hoppy for sure. Yeah. They need to take it to Qatar and really dominate possession, because that's how you beat that team right now.
Yeah.
Very interesting. That's how we end DOOP By The River with some Gold Cup talk.
And real quick.
Yes, sir.
Not to be remiss, U.S. women's national team quarterfinals of Tokyo 2020, rematch of the 2019 World Cup against the Netherlands, Friday morning at 7 a.m. So y'all can actually wake up and watch it this time.
Yeah, not 4:30.
Set your alarms.
I'll be at work, so I cannot. I'll probably throw it on my phone, which I shouldn't do.
I'll be off, but I may or may not be.
Yeah,
may not be up for that.
I know this women's team has not looked like they have in past. Losing a game to Sweden, drawing against Australia, but they're in a World Cup rematch in a winner-go-home game. I think this team shows up, so be on the lookout for that one too.
Yo, can I just say, Australia in these Olympics, not just soccer, but oh my God, dude, they're gonna be up there with those medals, man. Shouts to Australia. Very nice, very nice. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is another episode of DOOP By The River. Again, thank you so much to Tim, Justin, and Zach for joining us in on another episode. Guys, do not forget, DOOP By The River will always be live on Philly Sports Network and El Parcero Philly's YouTube channel, so make sure you guys are subscribed there. And don't forget to check out DOOP By The River wherever you stream podcasts from Apple, Google, and Spotify. And, of course, it is on the PSN radio. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Zach Lobasso. That is Justin, Jersey's most famous bald. And, of course, that is our Tim Lovinguth. I go by the name of El Parcero Philly, and we're telling you guys to doop on. Have some faith, guys. It's going to be okay. Talk to you guys soon.